Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. I know a lot of you guys were waiting for this interview because this afternoon we have Honey Eduque with us. Hi, Honey.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Jason. Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for agreeing to this. We've kind of requested, or the audience has requested for you to be interviewed. So I'm very glad
Audience.
you, the live studio audience has requested for you to be interviewed. And if you know anybody who can benefit from learning how to work from home, from learning how to become a social media specialist, especially if they are in the BPO right now. Like Honey used to be in the BPO. That's the title of her interview today, is passionate BPO trainer turned social media specialist. So if you know anybody who is currently in the BPO and would like to start working from home, either as a virtual assistant or a social media specialist, hit that share button, share this with them as well. Let's go ahead and get started. Now that we know everything's working, let's go ahead and get started with the long-awaited story of Eduque. You've seen her in the Freelancers in the Philippines Facebook group. If you don't know her, just head over to our Facebook group, Freelancers in the Philippines, and you will see how active she is, how she's inspired a lot of people and helped a lot of people. She's very helpful. So she's here right now live with us. And as we go, and a lot of people have this question in mind, but how did you get started? I knew you before you got, well, we met online before you got started.
Yes.
But not everybody knows your story. So, like, what were you doing? We know you came from a BPO, but like, what were you doing? What was your journey in the BPO, in the call center, and how did you get into the wonderful world of becoming a social media specialist?
So I started out. I discovered Odesk back then in 2008. A friend of mine was already working in Odesk at that time, and then she told me about it, and I signed up. So when I signed up, I tried to apply for jobs, but then I didn't get any jobs, so I gave up on that account for the longest time. And then forwarded to 2011, I applied for a virtual assistant position in a virtual assistant agency. I worked there for 6 months, and then I missed the call center again, mainly
What did you
because
miss about the call center?
you're going to laugh. It's because of my heels.
Okay, I can't relate, but can you explain?
Because I love my heels, and I have like I have different colors for different days of the week. So there's blue, there's red, there's pink, there's yellow, orange. So that's what I missed. I missed wearing them. I missed power dressing. I also missed the pay because as a virtual assistant back then, my pay was only 20,000, which was actually pretty good for a permit. What do you call this? Full-time work at home job.
Yeah.
So I went back to the call center, and then in 2013 I stopped working because that was also the time that I kind of stopped working from the call center because that was the time that I was pregnant, and I'm one of those people that have a sensitive pregnancy, so I had to stop working first in order to give birth. So after that, I created a profile in guru.com. So I have a profile there, and I haven't actually touched it for a long time since then. I did research jobs there. And during that time, it was actually a struggle, to tell you the truth, because during that time, we came from Jensan. We just moved back from Jensan back to Manila, and we were starting from scratch again. So my husband was trying to find a job. I couldn't get a job because number one, I was pregnant, and then number two, I had a sensitive pregnancy, so I couldn't do both things at the same time. So what happened? We struggled financially, to tell you the truth. And the only thing that we depended on was the online jobs that I did, which I would get like a research job for $50, maybe come up with 50 names or 75 names of certain influencers or stuff like that. So that $50 went a long way back then.
Definitely.
So it helped us pay for the apartment that we were renting, food, and also my checkup. So after that time, I decided when I gave birth, I went back into the call center because we couldn't live like that anymore, especially with the baby on the way, and milk for the baby was very expensive, and
So you weren't earning enough with your online work to sustain?
No, not to sustain a baby that had huge demands. Maybe for me and my husband, yes, but not when there's a baby involved. So I had to go back to the call center as much as I didn't want to, because I didn't want to leave my baby at home. I had this separation anxiety. So I decided to go back into the call center, and then in 2013, I was back in the call center. But then come 2016, I started to feel like as if I was meant to do more, as cliche as it sounds. But I felt like as if there was more that I could do. Like I needed to move on. And also I kind of felt like as if I was feeling stagnant. Yes,
but at this time, you were already promoted, right? Because you went back in the call center in 2013. And you came back as an agent at this time, 2013?
No, ever since 2006, I've been a trainer. Since the time that I left. So it's always been trainer positions whenever I move call centers. And same with the latest BPO that I was in. What I love training. Truly, I did. That's why I said I would call myself a passionate trainer, because I love meeting people. I love training them. I love seeing how I get them from point A to point B, and then seeing their success. Sometimes I see some of the trainees that I used to train exceed my position even, or surpass my position rather. One of them was absorbed by a client, and now she's like a client now. So it was actually awkward. Like, hi, I'm still a trainer, but I love it. So at one point of time, I did want to get promoted, but then I saw how stressful it was. I did the training for to be a training manager, but then I saw that it wasn't for me. My place is in the classroom, and that's where I make a better impact, so to say. And then,
but like you said, you realized that you were meant to do more, right? Or you felt that you were meant to do more.
Yeah. So in July of, I think June or July 2016, I started to think of going back to online gigs, and I looked around for different types of freelancing sites freelancing groups rather, in Facebook, just to see which one I could join, and I saw several, and then I saw WAP at that time. So I thought that I kept observing it, and then I said, okay, this sounds like one that's for me. And I kept watching your videos, and I could relate because you were a trainer and you succeeded. So I was like, if he can do it, so can I, right? And it inspired me. Your videos really inspired me
Oh,
to go
thank you.
into the freelancing industry and rethink the whole freelancing process, because what I used to think before is just just a side income. Now I when I saw the videos, it's like, okay, it can be a career. It can be something that I can make something out of. So,
Yeah, because in
um,
2013, you were more like you were getting online jobs, but it was like $50, and like in
yes,
1 month, you'd earn how much usually?
like maybe in a month, like $100, give or take.
Hmm.
Honestly, that's
Yeah, so it's not a lot.
no, it's not. But we survived on that. I mean, um, we really we really scrounged up coins and whatever, just to survive. um, and then so in December, I finally decided that I would take the leap, and then I already informed the company that I was gonna resign, and that I would be doing freelancing. And I received a lot of negative feedback from my friends, co-workers, and them telling me that it's not something that I should be looking into, because it wouldn't be right, or it wouldn't give me the kind of money that I'm already earning in the call center.
Mhm.
So I took that into consideration as well, which was why it took me from July to December to finally decide.
December
So
2016, right?
yes, it took me that long.
But it's a valid point, because at that time, you were a trainer. You've been a trainer for several years, and you were earning for if you think about corporate earnings, you were earning a good amount of money, right?
Yes, yes, I was. Very good, in fact. I mean, it was good enough. Although if I were to compare it to now, I'd say this one is way better.
But you didn't know. You didn't know at that time, and most
No,
people,
no.
they don't have any idea that you can earn a lot more actually from home, right? So
Yes.
that's what they were concerned about. But what it took you like 5 6 months to finally decide. After doing research for 6 months, watching videos, participating in the group, what was like the turning point? Would you say that you finally said, "Na, okay, I'm gonna submit my resignation and go do this."
I There was a lot of whys that I answered myself. Why? Because I believe I read one of the blogs from WFHR about finding out why you want to do this. So I wrote that down. And one of them was, number one was, of course, my son.
Hmm.
Number two, I did not want to go to work wet from the rain. When we have like hurricanes coming in, and you step out of the jeepney or the FX, you walk the distance from the jeepney or FX to the door of the call center building, and your shoes are wet, your jeans are wet, your clothes are wet, everything is wet. And then when you enter the call center building, it's cold. It's freezing cold. So I did not want to experience that anymore. So that was another reason. And of course, there were other reasons. I wanted to just be at home and see my son grow up and be able to sleep normally, and to be able to play with him, not to be like a zombie when I'm playing with him every day, because it was really difficult. And the thing was, when I decided to take the leap, December 2016, I applied for a virtual assistant job, and I managed to close the client, and he was actually very good. because he paid me $8 per hour. So I was really happy about that. But at the same time, I was also working in the evenings in the call center. So I did those two jobs simultaneously. It was a struggle. It was
How
really
many
a
like
struggle.
how many hours were you working for the client every day?
Every day I would try to put in at least 4 hours.
4 hours plus your full-time shift plus
Yes.
travel time.
Yes. Plus yaya duties because I did not have a yaya.
Yeah, so that is tough. And this time, what month did you enroll in? Because you enrolled in the boot camp at
Yes, I
first.
did.
What month did you enroll
December.
in? December. Okay, that's when you
December.
decided
Yes.
and you got to leave.
Yes. So what I did was when I enrolled in the bootcamp, I also tried to apply for jobs at the same time. So I was trying to do everything all at once, thinking that I'm superwoman, yeah, supergirl. So
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman mixture. Anyway, so yeah, I tried to do that, and something had to give, something suffered, and definitely, yes, my client relationship suffered. Well, not between me and him, but the business part, working with him, suffered because I was sluggish. I was slow with tasks. I delivered, yes. The only problem was sometimes, when you're drowsy, you're sleepy and all that, you tend to not be as attentive as you should be.
Oh yeah.
And you don't perform. So I failed a lot in that job, in that role. I even went to the point of booking him a flight in an airline that he hated.
So you're probably mad at your client. He was thinking that you're mad at him. That's why you booked him.
I think so.
That's right.
Because the problem was it was December 23. His schedule was December 23. And you know how booking
In time for
during
Christmas.
that time. Yes. And he was just like the day before, like maybe let's say December 22. He goes, "Oh honey, I want you to book me a flight to da da da." And I'm like, it's very difficult to find a flight right now that fits within your budget. So I got him the cheapest flight, yes.
But with his most hated airline.
Yes.
And did he fire you at that point or?
No. Luckily,
Okay.
no. But he didn't speak to me the following days.
So it's like you had an LQ with the client.
Yes. When he came back, we had a good talk.
And from there, so this is like December. You were trying to juggle things around your trainer role, your mother role, your freelancing role. You probably weren't getting a lot of sleep, no? Like how many hours
Yeah.
of sleep each day were you getting?
2 or 3
Yeah, 2 or 3
hours.
hours. Yeah. So definitely your freelancing is gonna get affected or you make mistakes like that.
Yeah.
But that's you already decided at that point, right? That you're gonna leave your job.
Yes.
And so what happened next?
I started from that point on, he started to tell me that this is not rocket science and all that. He was really lecturing me. But he was actually nice. I mean, I could take it. It was I wasn't offended. I knew it was my fault. So I took it. And but then during that time I knew then that my job with him was at risk. So I started to look for other freelancing jobs, and I found one, and I found this other client through Facebook. So in my desperation, I started to really venture out and, risk things because I was desperate. So I found one client and I started with her in January. And just at that time, my client that I booked in the wrong flight fired me. But um, the thing was, when he fired me, he told me that he would keep me still as a research assistant. So it was kind of like he
demoted or
yes, he demoted me to research assistant. But here's the catch. I could work for him, and even if I don't have anything or any task for that particular week, he would still pay me a fixed amount.
Oh wow, nice.
Yes. It was still nice. So that happened until like April, until he said, okay, so now there's actually he never even gave me any tasks during that time frame. So,
He was just paying you for 3 months
it was just,
or 4 months. 4 months.
yes. So that was actually a good situation for me.
Wow.
During that time, I also managed to get other clients at the same time. The second client that I got, that I found through Facebook, was fortunately a social media strategist. And I entered her agency as a virtual assistant in training, actually. I asked if I could be trained by her, and even if it's free internship, I would be willing to, even if it's just like for a month or two, as long as I could get the experience in her agency. So, but then the good thing was that she said, no, I'm gonna pay you. So she paid me for the time that I worked with her. And yeah, so that's how my freelancing journey came to be. And then in February, I completely retired from the call center, and I have never looked back since then.
Nice. And how has you left in February. That was February 2017, right?
Yes.
Yes. So it's almost 1 year. It can't be 2018, it's still January. That was almost 1 year ago since you've left. And how has it been? How has your journey been?
The common mistakes I would say I've noticed when it comes to newbies, like when I was back then, is that you don't expect the hardships to hit you that hard. Because I thought that I was like soaring. I felt like I was going up, and away, and it was gonna maintain that way. The only problem was when stuff happened, and then I started to lose clients one by one. Mainly either because the client didn't have a budget anymore, or our work had ended, they didn't need my services anymore. Or the major one that I experienced was when my internet started going crazy on me. So I kept ranting about it in Facebook. But anyway, I lost one client after another, and the savings that I accumulated during those months depleted. So I started to worry. That was my main concern. I worried because where was I gonna get my next pay from? Also, my husband's work didn't exactly cover the current lifestyle that we have. It's nothing demanding though. I mean, he works. The typical salary of an average. Yes. So that was one of my worries. So I eventually lost almost all of my clients except for one, and she was paying me $8 per hour. The only problem was I only worked for her 3 hours per week.
So that's not a lot of money. And but this was a time you also where you had internet problems, right?
Yes. It was intermittent. Yes. So it was a big challenge during that time. I honestly can see that I started to get depressed. I was really low. I lied low, and Anna knows this because I always went to her about it, and I told her how hard it was during that time. And then after a while, I said, I told myself, I shook myself. I said, no, I can't accept this. I feel like if I accept this, then I'm defeated, then I'm done. So, a lot of prayers went into this, and I'm like, I really wanted to do this. I wanted to work from home. And also during that time, it was also after the master class.
Yeah, right after the master class, you had internet or during the master class, you already had internet
during.
Yeah, that's right.
And I felt like I really felt like such a failure because you're a master class graduate, and you're expected to perform and all that. So, and I felt like I couldn't be part of the other classmates because they were succeeding left, right, and center, and I was like going downhill. So I felt sad, but then I was happy for their success. I was sad for myself because of what was happening. But then like I mentioned in one of my posts in the student group, what you mentioned about something about anything worth having is worth fighting for. So I thought to myself that this is something worth fighting for. So I fought. I took my sister's extra internet service because she has two. She has PLDT fiber and she has smart. So nice. I took the other one. It's like, move it here because you're not using it. So I discarded the globe. I discarded the globe for the time being, and then I took smart. And then when I took the smart connection, I started applying like crazy. Like literally in a day, I would send like 10 proposals or even more.
In different platforms.
And it wasn't only in Upwork. Yes. Yeah. I would go on online jobs. I would go in Upwork. I would go in Facebook. Those were my 3 platforms that I would go into. And I would send, even if people did not reply to me, or if I see in Facebook that they did not read my message, I'm like, okay, fine, apply again. So I kept on applying. I didn't give up because I was fighting. I was like, yes, I have to fight for this because I want this. So until finally, I started to get one client slowly, one after the other. And then just when I thought that, okay, this is it, this is I'm getting the sweet taste of victory again. Just when I thought that would happen, they would pause the contract. They would say, oh, we have to pause the contract for now because, of some certain reasons. I'm like, oh. They're like, okay, fine. So, and then I would have to start all over again. I would try to apply. And then by didn't want to jinx it, but I started to get clients once again, and these clients eventually became weeks-long client, and then a month-long, and then I'm like, oh, this is good. And some of these clients would just send me invites. Some of them would just all of a sudden hire me. I would one time I woke up to an offer, and that was like a sweet victory. for me, a small, even house, no matter how small it was. And then after that, I started to get the same number of clients that I had before. Everything went downhill. I got 4, and then eventually I got 5, and then one after the other. And the great thing was, what really I consider a miracle was that these clients came in like maybe a day after the other, or a day or 2 after another.
So and that's
And then
amazing to hear. It's like one after another. It just had a domino effect. What changed though? Because
yes.
just a couple of months back, like if you look like 3 months before this, you were feeling. You said you were feeling depressed. You weren't getting any new clients. You were losing your existing clients. So what was different this time?
This time it was different because I took it more seriously. I mean, I did take it seriously before, but then, when you reach a success point or a success level and then you plateau, you
become
tend to
relaxed.
like be stagnant. Yes. So that's what happened to me. I was like, oh, this is great. This is fine. And it'll stay like this. So that's what happened. I started to be, let's say, overconfident, or stuff like that. Not knowing that eventually something does happen. Like they say, life is like a roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down, and I wasn't prepared for that. When that happened, I started to review what my processes were. I started to review how I spoke to clients. I started to review how I presented my rates. I went back into the master class, and then I started to review the lessons from there. And I was like, I need to change something, because if this worked before, fine, but we have to improve something still. It shouldn't just stay like that. Like for computers, you get sometimes it's not computers. I mean, for operating systems, you get the version 1, version 2, or something like that. I'm not techie, but something like that. You level up. So that's what I did. I leveled up. I started to change the way I did my process. So I have like a separate folder for everything, how what questions to ask the clients, how to speak to clients, and other stuff like that. And I also brainstormed with a lot of people. I watched a lot of educational things, just to add some more knowledge to what I already have.
And right now, because right now, so you went through that down, and then you recovered. Right now, like, how are you doing? If I were to ask, how are you doing right now?
I would say I'm up there.
Like better than before, or
way better than before. I've doubled my clients. Right now I have 8, and I'm currently working on 2 more.
Wow.
So hopefully, great.
Wow! Congratulations. Yes.
I actually just went. Thank you. I actually went through a discovery call just last night, and so I'm hoping I would be able to close that client, but we'll see. If not, then that's fine. I'll move on, and I'll try and get some more clients still.
That's a great attitude to have. You always try to improve. It reminds me of a quote, because like for those that just tuned in, Honey, she went from the call center. She was a trainer, and then she became freelancer. She was very excited. She had 4 clients, and then things happened. She lost clients. She lost her internet. And like you said, a big reason was because you became too comfortable You became too
Yes.
relaxed. You became too confident that you're doing well. And
Yes.
then that's when things started to fall apart. And now you're better, you're stronger, you're doing much better compared to before, with 8
Yes.
clients and more coming. It reminds me of a
Yes.
quote. I forgot who said that, but if you're, because like in this changing world, if you're standing still, like it's like life is like you're walking reverse on an escalator, because if you're standing still, it means you're going backwards, and then if you're just walking normally, it means you're not moving. So you have to really
Yeah.
put in the effort if you want to improve, if you want to move forward. I guess that's a good reminder. Your story is a good reminder that we shouldn't be too relaxed. We shouldn't be too
That's true.
confident, and we should always look to improve ourselves, look to grow ourselves.
That's true. I definitely agree with that. I would say that probably a factor that I was comfortable was because I really thought that I could get clients anytime I want. But then the reality of the fact is that it's you have to put in the hard work. You can't
Mhm.
just get the clients just like that. You really have to put in the hard work. So as Gary Vee says, hustle.
You really have to hustle, and you really have to work for things. If you want to reach your goals,
Yes.
you really have to work. But I think one thing that we can, because before before you went through your ups and downs, you weren't earning as much as you were right now, right? Let's say
Yes, that's
you're
right.
earning a lot less. So if you never went through the struggles and the obstacles and the challenges, because at that time, like, you were okay earning this amount, but when things went down and now you're earning a lot more. But I think one thing we can take is that if you didn't go through those struggles, you might never have improved. You might have not
Yes.
reached where you are today, right?
Yes, I would agree with that. I can see that happening. If I didn't go through the struggles that I went through, I wouldn't have, fought so hard to improve. I wouldn't have valued how much the lessons that I'm learning, that I'm taking from all the mentors, as seriously. So yes, I definitely agree.
Mhm. And we're going to continue, and we're going to move on a little bit to the Q&A portion of this interview, where we have questions from our live studio audience. So guys, if you have questions, feel free to ask them in the comments section. And just as a reminder, please share this with your family and friends, those that used to work in the BPO, those that, moms like Honey. That's why she left, and that's why she's focused on freelancing. She got reminded of that. And those even freelancers who have been struggling, who have been going through ups and downs, because it's not always smooth sailing, in this kind of business. Right? So please ask your questions, and yes, hit that share button so we can share Honey's story with other people who she can inspire. Were you guys inspired so far? Have you guys been inspired? A lot of people are talking about your laughing and your English, but are you guys inspired? Let us know, so that we can see if this is working. Cat, OMG, I can relate. I am still at this point for such a long time. Kudos to Honey for not giving up. Wow, just wow. So yeah, it's important to not give up and to really push and keep moving forward. Josh Escalon, I'm not sure if I understand this question, but he's asking, how long did she apply to get a client? I guess how long before you got your first client, or how long it takes for you to get clients?
Okay, I'll answer both questions. So for the first time that I got my first client in Upwork, it took me about a week or two, something like that, before I managed to get that first client. And now, when applying for a client, I'm very particular or picky when it comes to clients applying. So I pick my clients. I apply to the right type of client that I feel I would work well with. So that's, and no matter how long it takes, like maybe in Upwork, I could go on for 2 days without applying, or even a week without applying. But then from time to time, if I see one job that I think is right for me, or I feel like the client is right for me, then I would apply for that job. So maybe it would take me a day, sometimes even a month. I have a current client that I applied for in, I think, September or October, and she only hired me in November. So that's that long.
Yeah, it also depends on the clients, right? Not all of them are responsive. Sometimes they're busy. Some clients need things right away. So yeah, it would vary depending on the client. Riel Gregorio, Anna said she's perspired. She's not inspired, but otherwise a lot of people saying they're inspired. Mary Chris, Joanna, Josie, Rel, Charlie, Jackie are inspired. Riel Gregorio, I used to work as a manager in a BPO company. I just resigned November last year, and currently I'm working and finishing the accelerated module. It's great to hear. I just want to ask for tips on how we can have our Upwork application approved, especially for those that come from the customer service side. Thanks and God bless.
Upwork. Honestly speaking, when it comes to getting Upwork approval, I'm not really well versed with that, because remember, I've had my Upwork or Odesk account since way back in 2007 or 8. So right now, I know that the Upwork is really strict. So the tips that I would offer you is try to look in other platforms as well. I know Upwork is like the what do you call this, the like the number one, like leading authority when it comes to the platforms for freelancers, but open up to other platforms as well. It doesn't hurt, because I know there are some freelancers that get their clients, and high value clients as well, either through other platforms or even direct clients.
Yeah, there are a lot of other platforms, and if you're in the VA Bootcamp, which I think you are, then we also have the guides for other platforms, not just for Upwork. You know, even though Upwork is there, while you're trying to get the approval, you can always explore those other platforms, like Honey also mentioned. Margarita, be confident, accept challenges, continue learning. I learned from Honey. She wants you to be her mentor. Well, you're an online mentor in this way as well. Lena, very, very, very inspired and very uplifting, especially the laughter you share with all of us. You're very it's very contagious. That's what the people are saying with regards to your laughter and your joy. Now, while we're, if you guys have questions, please shoot them in the comments. But while people are still typing their questions, I see we have a couple of here. But I do want to ask you, like, if you were to go back to your early freelancing days, like, what would you do differently, or what would you change?
What would I change is my attitude towards how I take things for granted. I would honestly say I took things for granted earlier, last year. The reason I say that is because, like I mentioned, I didn't take things seriously. I felt like I could easily get things. And another thing is that maybe I felt like I had an edge. I mean, I could understand clients. I could joke with them. You know, maybe it's because you were a trainer and you felt like, oh, I have all the confidence in the world, but that is not true. Just when you think that you're way up there, you know, something happens, and God teaches you that, you know, you have to humble yourself. Don't be too what do you call, what's the word for that? I running out of
Arrogant.
Yes, don't be arrogant. Just because I came from a call center, just because I can speak English better than anybody, I've had my struggles. I've had my failures still. Even if I had those that background, I still struggled. I still went through terrible things. So don't take things for granted. Always be humble, and help out. One of the things that I promised Jason a long time ago was that whatever I learned from him, I would always pay it forward. So what I'm doing is that I'm also helping out other newbies, you know, try to get through what they're struggling, because I completely understand what they've gone through. And my voice is getting shaky because I feel it. So I understand what you're going through, because I've been there. So I just want to help out as well.
Yeah, and you know, thank you, honey, for, you know, being very helpful. You're in the students group. You know, you're helping a lot of people there, even in Flip. You're very active as well, and we do appreciate that, right, guys? You guys appreciate honey being inspiring and honey being helpful to our members and the students. One very strong support group is really our students group. Like if you're a student right now, you know, it's please be part of our students Facebook group. We find, like, a lot of students find support there,
Yes.
and you need to have that support system because it's not easy. It really isn't easy. It really is a challenge, and you will go through the challenges. So support system is very important. And it's hard to find in person, like honey, you know, with her office mates. They were discouraging her from doing this. So, you know, we can find them online and then meet up in person. Like honey and Anna are very close right now.
Yes.
Rixay has a question here. What is your main niche?
My main niche is social media. Although I still accept virtual assistant jobs, because a lot of my clients have both tasks rolled into one. Especially when they find out that, oh, you do social media, okay, great. Could you also do my Facebook for me? I'm like, okay, fine. So, I mean, I don't mind. I do like to give them the value for what I can offer them. And I really love helping them out and seeing how I also get them from point A to point B, and so on and so forth.
So a mix of clients as well. Relj, Miss Honey, have you tried applying for any customer service phone support jobs in Upwork?
Phone support. I I've been in the call center for so long that I try to I try to avoid the phone support. Although I've done chat, yes, and that's as far as I'll go when it comes to customer service. I'll do chat. I've done chat, yes.
But I do know there are some students who do like phone support. I think it's more familiar, especially those from the call center who have experience. It's more familiar to them, so they start off like that. So there are people in the students and in the Flip Facebook group. Okay, let's see some more repeat questions here. Michelle Azul is saying, thank you for sharing your story. I need an extra push to go on since I lost a good client. Your testimony gave me just that. God bless you and Sir Jason. So
that's good.
You've inspired Michelle here. Mary Chris is asking, how do you manage your time? You're a mom, you have 8 clients. Like, how does your typical day go?
My typical week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I jam pack all of my major tasks there. Mostly by Tuesday, I get all of the major tasks done. By Wednesday, it's the semi-major tasks that I have to complete. Thursdays, I do the minor tasks. And Thursdays also is my gym day. So I go to the gym as well. Fridays, I check if there is some more tasks that have been assigned to me, or if there's something that I forgot to do. I try to go back with everything. And then Saturday and Sunday, I'm free. But then sometimes, when I think I'm addicted to my laptop. So I tend to go back into my laptop and I look like, okay, nothing. And then I turn it off again. And then later on, I go back to my laptop. I turn it on, It's that.
Yeah, you need help for something like that. And we're all kind of addicted to our laptops and cell phones, which is not a good thing. It's not. It's not very good. But I do like that you take care of the hard stuff first, right? Rather than procrastinating and doing them like at the end of the week. You try to get all the difficult stuff first, so that you know that the rest of your week is relaxed, rather than procrastinating and doing the easy stuff first, and then say I'll do it on Friday. The thing is, like, it's always in your head. You'll always be thinking, oh, I have to do the hard stuff later, and it's very stressful. I've experienced that, so I like your way of trying to get the hardest stuff done first. Very good practice right there. Let's see. Tracy is asking a few questions. One, which courses did you take in WFHR? So you can answer that, and she has a second question.
I've taken the VA Bootcamp and the master class.
The Road to 100K.
And also the HTML. Yes, and the basic HTML course. I took that too.
The basic HTML, the technical lesson right there. And two, what steps and risks did you take to transition from part-time freelance plus being a mom and working in the BPO to now full-time freelance? For most of us, that would be a very big leap, but nonetheless possible as you have testified. You're a testimony to that. Thanks for sharing your story. So I guess this is a long question, but what steps did you take before you quit? What were the things you did to prepare yourself for that transition?
Whatever I earned from my clients back then, I did not spend it. Instead, I kept it. So what I only spent was my salary from the call center. So I pretended like as if I didn't have that Upwork money and my direct clients' money. And I saved it up until I saw that it was a good enough amount for me to finally let go of the call center, which is the reason why I only let go of the call center late in Feb. Actually, end of Feb. That's when I finally resigned from the call center. It was enough time for me to have saved up.
Would you be okay sharing how much would you recommend people save before they make that shift?
I saved up. Back then, I think I saved up around 80,000. It lasted me up until somewhere around, I think, June, something like that. Yes, somewhere around June, and then it started to deplete.
So yeah, 80,000.
And those were yeah.
You were saying those were?
That was during that time when my funds started to deplete. It was also the same time that things started to go downhill for me.
Mm-hmm. The challenges that you faced and the obstacles that you faced. But I believe that you're also you also believe in God, right? And I believe that God sometimes just puts that to wake us up. When we get too relaxed.
That's true.
Yeah. And we become better. We become better after going through that. Riel Gregorio, on point in everything that we do. There should always be humility. That was my attitude during the first few weeks of my journey. Since I was part of the leadership team, I had that feeling of I can do everything. Yeah, so Riel also went through that. I took it for granted and was overconfident. I thought I could easily get a job, but months have passed and I still hadn't gotten anything. That's where I started to learn the roadmap and enrolled in the bootcamp. Just happy that I found a new family in this group. Yeah, we're glad to have you in the family, Riel. Yeah, that overconfidence makes us make mistakes sometimes. Workaholic ka daw.
That's true. Yes.
Anna, paparehab kita be. Vaughn, let's see here. For newbies like us, Vaughn Bentley's asking, for newbies like us, any tips kung paano malalaman kung anong niche mo and when to decide to focus on that skill?
Wow. As early as like a newbie, I don't know whether even I would have to refer back to Jason on that, because personally I don't think you should already niche down already. It's better if you get a grasp of the whole freelancing thing first, and then that's when you identify which one you can relate to or which one you'd be happier doing. It's better to do something that you would be happy doing. In all honesty, when I started out with my social media strategist client, I didn't start out as a social media specialist. I started out as a VA, and she kept telling me, come on, let me train you to be a social media specialist. But I kept pushing her back. The only time I became one of her social media specialists was when it was in, I think, May. So I started work for her in January, and then only in May did I decide that I want to be a social media specialist. So it took me that long because I wanted to get comfortable. I wanted to know how it works.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. You do, like, that's why, and this is basically what I teach. You should become a VA first before you focus on a niche, because like a VA exposes you to a lot of different things, and then you can choose from there, because you don't really know. Like if you see like in the Facebook group in the interviews, you see like Honey's social media, and then we have like Anna who did bookkeeping, we have Jason Dumano who did SEO, and then you see all these successful freelancers like John Pagulayan who does copywriting, but if you're on the outside looking in, like you're just looking at it from another perspective, but you've never experienced it, it's very hard for you to say, I can do that. It's very hard to say, I'm going to have fun with that.
Yeah.
In most cases, you think that you'll enjoy it, but when you try it out, you won't. So VA is a very good starting point, because you do a lot of things. You end up doing research, you end up doing social media, you end up doing SEO sometimes, you end up doing web design a little bit. And when you're experiencing these different things, you can compare them. You can compare, oh, I like this better than these other areas. And then you can just grow from there. So definitely agree with that. And a lot of the students, especially, I've mentored lots of students, and after a few months or after a year, most of them have found their niches, but they've only found it because they went through the process of being like a VA first. So yeah, definitely agree with what you said. Yeah, emergency fund first. People agreeing, yes. Yoj or Joy. So we're gonna wrap up pretty soon, guys. That's so true. Being humble is the key to keep the blessings coming in. That's right. Thanks for the wonderful insights, Honey. It makes me decide to focus on looking for another job as a home-based employee. Wow, you're inspiring a lot of people today, Honey. And that's right. Pride is it's like
good.
Pride is like one of the 7 deadly sins. So you may want to be careful about that. Raj, can you have asking for a personal mentorship, but that's a different thing. A lot of people who you've inspired today, and yep, okay, that seems to be it for our question. So let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and ask you what's like the number one tip or advice that you want to leave with those who are watching? We know you've inspired many people. There have been a lot of questions coming in, but like, what's the one thing you want them to take home from this interview?
One thing that I'd like everyone to take home is, never ever give up, no matter what happens, no matter what happened in the past. No matter how much you were struggling, no matter how much you are struggling right now, don't give up. Find something to fight for. I found something to fight for, and find something to fight for. Find a why. Find the reason why you're fighting that fight that you're fighting. Find the purpose. Because honestly, life is tough. It's not easy. It's not always just just cakes and all that. It's you have lemons. You have those things. And you have your ups and your downs, and it's not always going to be ups, it's going to be downs as well. And that's the reality of life. And, all you need to do is get through that. There's this thing that I've been hearing in the preaching, I heard in the preaching a long time ago. The only way for you to be propelled forward like an arrow is when the arrow is like slung back. And then once the person that's, the archer lets go of the arrow, that's when they get to be propelled forward. I don't know if you catch that analogy, but that's something that I believe, that sometimes life takes us back, but then it always propels us forward as long as we don't give up. Just don't give up. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with what you said. Don't give up. There are those who you see successful, like for those that are watching, people like Honey, and those, the success stories you see, even myself, we've all faced challenges. But the way, I guess, what separates those that are successful from those that aren't, is that those that successful didn't give up. They fought through the challenges. They fought through the obstacles. They felt discouraged. They felt depressed. I've been there. But you just have to keep moving forward. You just have to keep going, keep pushing, and not giving up. Like the arrow, but if, like, when you bounce a ball, when you throw a ball down, it bounces up higher. So that's something that you can remember. If you're falling down quickly, you can bounce up a lot higher more easily. So thank you so much for that message. I want to thank you once again for sharing your story. You've inspired so many people. Thank you for being that inspiration to many in our students and in Flip. And I'm sure a lot of people owe you their thanks as well. Thank you guys for watching. If you found this inspiring, you're very welcome. If you guys found this inspiring, if you found anything, if you learned anything in this, one way you can show your thanks is hitting that share button. Share this with family and friends, people in the call center, mothers, so that they can learn, they can be inspired as well, and they can be, where they'll see Honey and say, I want to be where she is today. So hit that share button and just go ahead and share that with them. Next, they'll end up where, they'll see you and say, I want to be. They'll ask, like, how to be you. They'll want to be where you are right now. Where you all are right now. Yes, next. So tune in again, guys. Don't forget to keep watching. And like Honey said, I'm excited for LJ. Classmate in the 100K, that's right. And don't give up. Whatever you're facing right now, whatever you're struggling with, don't give up. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Honey. And you have a great rest of the day. Bye, everyone.